Now get ready. Here we go.
What is going on, everybody? It is Arkham here. By the time this video releases, Kingda Ka has already been demolished and entirely imploded. And now, the speculation and the rumor mill really can start to kick into gear. Ever since this event has happened, I've really gone back to look at a lot of the things that Great Adventure has been thinking of doing to this park for a while, especially when the merger had happened. Obviously, one of the big things we know is that Ka's demolition got pushed up to 2024, and even more stuff got pushed back or even pushed more forward to happen earlier than anticipated. So, because of this, I wanted to look back at one of the first moves that Cedar Fair and Six Flags did as a merged company under the brand new Six Flags Entertainment Corporation, and this was the surveys. This was something that we had seen happen across a bunch of other Cedar Fair parks. Canada's Wonderland did a survey, and it so happens that their new for 2025 roller coaster Alpine Fury is a survey roller coaster that involves a roller coaster coming out of Wonder Mountain. So it tells me that this survey and these surveys at some of the other bigger Six Flags Entertainment Corporation parks are, well, the surveys are legit. These are legit surveys. And because of that, I wanted to backtrack even more to what the survey for Six Flags Great Adventure had and really come back to the conclusion that one of the options on there was the Mack Xtreme Spinner Tower Coaster. This was a coaster type that I have been continuously talking about on my channel, from predictions to top 5 videos on what could replace Kingda Ka, so on and so forth. And I always kept coming back to this roller coaster type, and a lot of people have been still questioning, well, why would this be a suitable replacement for Kingda Ka, and why not an Intamin Blitz? Or why not some other coaster like a tilt coaster? Why are you, Arkham, suggesting this Mack Xtreme Tower spinning coaster over any other option in the park? And that's why I'm going to make this video, because I want to discuss this topic a little bit further. And by doing that, we're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about the overall concept that has been fantastically recreated by ML Designs, so huge shout out to them. And we're going to use that concept and just look at what I believe the height could be, the speed could be, as well as the fact that this is a multi-record breaking launch coaster. What records could this ride break that can draw in people in the 2026 season? And compare this concept to some of the other great Mack Xtreme spinning coasters out there, such as Time Traveler and Ride to Happiness, and why I think this roller coaster concept is really slept on right now and could honestly be the dark horse sleeper hit of 2026 if this so happens to be Kingda Ka's replacement. And without further ado, guys, if you guys like this and what I'm going to talk about, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and always thank your ride operators. Now, let's get into this video. Okay, so now before we get into the Mack Xtreme Spinner Tower Coaster, I want to first talk about the stats that Kingda Ka had and a little bit as to where the direction of this new roller coaster could be in relation to the tower coaster. So Kingda Ka had a length of 3,118 feet with a height of 456 feet. Because this ride was over 400 feet tall, it was considered to be a strata coaster. It had a massive drop to fit that, which was over 400 feet as well, and the speed was over 120 miles per hour, or at least the advertised speed was 128 miles an hour. Now, we know it never hit that speed exactly, but that was the advertised speed. The duration of the ride was only about 28 seconds, and that was when you first get onto the launch track to getting back into the station. That's separate. When you launch to hit the brake run, that's only about 17 seconds of a ride. So even though it hit this launch in 3.5 seconds to reach the speed that is said to be 120 miles an hour, we know that that was because of the launch system, the hydraulic launch system. Now, the Mack Xtreme Spinner Coaster does not use hydraulics. It uses LSMs. And basically, this is a much more reliable version of a launch, unlike the hydraulics. It will take time for these to pick up speed outside of the hydraulics, where the hydraulics are more sudden, like the air compressed launches that SNS has. The LSMs are more in line to be the next strongest launch, but also the most reliable launch out there as well. As for Kingda Ka, some of the important things to pick up on is despite the length, it was also a really short ride. Most people considered this ride to be a one-trick pony and only had that one main experience. Up the top hat, back down, over a bunny hill, brake run. And then, of course, the iconic launch itself. And that was a common complaint for this ride, even though that is just a very iconic feature of Kingda Ka. It still is something that has been described that could have been improved on, say if the ride was maybe opened later and could have had an extended layout that could have then made it truly a king of coasters. Now, how does this relate to the Mack Xtreme spinner coaster? Let's see what I'm predicting to be roughly the stats of this tower coaster if it comes to fruition. Okay, so to gauge a couple of the stats here with this Mack Xtreme tower coaster, we're going to look back to what the survey actually had mentioned about this coaster type. And one of the things that already screams out to me compared to some of the other surveys that were out there is that Great Adventures Mack Tower Coaster says that it would be 400 feet. Now, what's interesting is that they have a 400-foot variant and a 200-foot variant. This 200-foot variant was actually something that was on Kings Island's coaster survey, whereas Great Adventure was the only one that had the 400-foot variant on their survey, which already kind of made things very interesting to see, well, how come that it would be specifically for this park and not for the other ones that would get the 400-foot variant? And I think because Kingda Ka was sort of the culprit. I did say in that video that they probably wouldn't touch this coaster type unless Kingda Ka was going to get removed. So happens to be the case. I think it's pretty clear what direction Great Adventure is going here, if you ask me. So let's say that the height for this tower coaster is going to be over 400 feet. Will it reach 456 feet? I don't think so. I do think that it is going to walk away with one record here right now at the current moment, and that is the tallest coaster in North America. Falcon's Flight is more than likely going to be open prior to this coaster if it is relevant. However, because of that, I think getting the record for the tallest coaster in North America just makes the most sense. With that being said, if you remove Kingda Ka, a 400-foot tower coaster, a strata coaster, I think it only makes sense that you replace it with another 400-foot strata coaster in the form of this. So I'm going to say this coaster would be over 400 feet easy. I don't think it's going to hit 456, but I do think it's going to be somewhere in the 400 range. Now, with this roller coaster breaking the height record in North America, I think it's only fitting for it to also break the record for the fastest roller coaster in North America. Yes, it would not be the fastest coaster in the world because Falcon's Flight, once again, this would be the fastest roller coaster in North America. I do think that this ride could be at an advertised speed of over 120 miles an hour. Does that mean it's going to hit that speed? Honestly, I don't think so. I do think there's a way that it can hit said record, which also factors into the third record, and that would be the only roller coaster that launches upside down. That's right. One of the biggest things about this roller coaster concept is that it has an upside down launch. Imagine launching upside down. That would be pretty sick. So already it's going to have 3 records. The tallest roller coaster in North America, the fastest roller coaster in North America, and the only roller coaster that launches upside down. That kind of sounds sick. And with also, you kind of tack on 2 additional records to that. The tallest spinning coaster in the world and the fastest spinning coaster in the world. That's right. It doesn't even top the record anything that Ride to Happiness or Time Traveler already provide those records. So that in itself is already 5 records that this ride essentially can break, even though you might be looking at it being like, why is it a shuttle? And that gets into one of the biggest cons that people have talked about with this ride, and why I honestly think this ride is being completely slept on, is the fact that it is a shuttle roller coaster. Why would it be that we have Flash Vertical Velocity opening later this year just to then get another shuttle coaster later? Now, at the end of the day, this is obviously just a concept. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to end up being a shuttle coaster at the end of the day. For all I know, they could make it a full circuit. This is obviously just a concept. We don't exactly know if this is the exact legit thing that is going to show up to the park. We're not going to know until the park announces it. So it'll be very interesting to see if they maybe go full circuit with it. Will people change their mind? Will it have an extended layout? Will it go into Green Lantern's plot? Will it utilize other elements that Ride to Happiness and Time Traveler have that make it so good? Outside of that upside down launch that already is going to make it very unique from those other 2 launched spinning coasters from Mack Rides. So I'm very invested to find out more details about that. I know the fact that it's a shuttle is definitely the biggest con right now. And I think the easy solution, and what everybody's been saying, is they should make it have multiple stations. Very similar to how Kingda Ka ran in its very early years. Now, obviously, that does have a concern because they gave up on that with Kingda Ka very early on. Are they going to give up on the double loading station for this coaster, say that if it has 2 loading platforms? That is where my concern begins to grow a little bit. But then again, if you think about it too, was the capacity on Kingda Ka anything crazy? Honestly, in a way, yes. If it was loading with both sides of the station, the capacity could be, according to RCDB, 1,400 riders an hour. But most of the time, they were only running this ride with one side of the station with 2 trains. So you kind of have to cut capacity in half. And take that, obviously, with a grain of salt because of that. And that is if ops are really pumping the trains out on Ka. And that depends if they have to do the same here with whatever this spinning coaster ends up becoming. And honestly, that's really where my investment in this ride is very intriguing. If this happens to be the 2026 multi-record breaking launch coaster, to which I still firmly believe is going to be that roller coaster, I'm very invested to see how they act upon this and how it would really transform the whole skyline. And for Great Adventure's sake, and for what makes it unique for Great Adventure, throughout the 51 years of operation for Great Adventure, now to getting into their 51st year, they have never had a spinning coaster. So this would be the first ever spinning coaster that Great Adventure would ever have in their park, and it would probably be one of the most ridiculous and insane things on the planet. So with that also being stated on that, it would still be not only a longer ride, it would be a very fast spinning coaster. Who knows how the spinning on it is going to be. You're going to have this upside down launch while you're spinning, which the forces on that is probably going to be absolutely through the roof insane. You're probably not going to know which way is up, down, left, and right. And so much things on top of that as well. Again, hoping for dual load platforms. I'm also hoping for a full circuit coaster here, especially with Flash being a shuttle. 2 shuttles in a row obviously doesn't bode a very good look from the outside perspective of it, but I want to know your thoughts on this roller coaster. Again, I really think that this ride is going to be very slept on, especially if this turns out to be the exact concept for the ride. Will it be a suitable Kingda Ka replacement? Everyone's jumping to the conclusion and saying no, but you only are going to know if it lives up to the hype if you go out and ride this ride yourself, if it happens to be Kingda Ka's replacement. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and always thank your ride operators. Have an amazing rest of your day, and let me know what you think of this roller coaster concept. I'll see you all in the parks very, very soon. Goodbye.
Here we go.
Park 10.